Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you for joining with us again.
We always love doing this. And Mom, how is your day going thus far?
Brandon, my day's just doing fine. How is your day doing?
All is well here. I'm excited for us to get into another discussion.
Yep, we're talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. again. We are talking about episode 11, titled It's a Magical Place.
Yes, we're moving quite quickly here. We're already at January 7th of 2014. We moved into a new year.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
Yes, it really is.
And so, Brandon, this episode, just to let everyone know, is actually part 2 of the mid-season finale. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what happened to Coulson. We do know that Coulson's alive and he's kind of being tortured right now. So Brandon and I are going to have a little discussion about that. And then we're going to talk about Mike Peterson just very briefly and how he is doing. All right, Brandon, go ahead. I'm going to let you lead.
All right. Well, first of all, we are now halfway through this first season.
Yeah, we sure are. And it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, it definitely has. So, I mean, what have you been learning overall thus far within these first 11 episodes?
Well, we're learning a lot about Coulson's life, probably more so than some of the other characters. We are learning why he died years ago. We're learning about how he is alive today. We are learning about just him and his management style and how he's working with this group of people. And then besides that, we're learning about individually about each of the characters and how important their past is to them. So I think for the most part, that's what we're kind of learning from these episodes.
And Mom, within this episode, what would you say have been your major takeaways? Was there anything that surprised you within this episode?
There wasn't really anything that really surprised me. I guess learning a little bit about Coulson and his death scene per se. Um, Learning about that was probably the most surprising out of the group. Um, his rescue was not really surprising for me because he was rescued by his group and kind of like by the people who you knew would actually come and find him.
So, I mean, Coulson's team, they always have a plan.
They sure do have a plan. Even when it doesn't seem like a plan, they have a plan.
Yeah, and I mean, and going back to the time after his death, or as Raina says, the day after his death. So, were you surprised at all that Tahiti does not seem to be such a magical place?
I was not surprised at all that Tahiti was not a magical place. No, that didn't surprise me at all. The lengths in which they went in order to try to get the information that surprised me, and Raina's role in this kind of surprised me too because she's the one who seems to be taking the lead in all of this.
And I thought what was interesting is Coulson went into sort of the brain machine, so to speak, voluntarily.
Yeah, he did. Well, it seems as though Coulson wanted to know himself what happened during that time period, and he knew that whatever they were doing was going to lead him to it because he was just seeing pictures, but he didn't have the full story.
Yeah, I mean, because they had even kept details of his own death classified away from him.
Yeah, and the pictures, I mean, flashbacks.
Yeah, and I mean, did you like how they were able to use those sort of little glimpses? We didn't see like a full big picture per se, but like we saw even like glimpses of Nick Fury, like at the Avengers movie, them closing him up and then operating on him, and we saw all these bits and pieces throughout the episodes. Definitely a lot of information within this episode.
It was a lot of information, and I like that at the end he was able to actually confront one of the doctors and to get really, for the most part, the whole story, or what he perceives as the whole story anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't just dead for a few seconds or a few minutes, as they've said. He was dead for days.
Yeah, and what they did to try to change his memory, per se, was interesting. And I really couldn't watch the little sequence with them kind of doing that little mini operation.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. As my brother says, Marvel has a tendency for brain surgery, but nevertheless, I said here we are with Tahiti and seeing just sort of the great lengths that they went to cover this up and to resurrect him. Not even like a simple operation. Even the doctor says that no good doctor would have performed this.
Yeah, that's what they said.
But going into sort of the well, actually, before even hitting the team, we saw a bit of Peel return in this episode.
Yeah, we did. We saw I think the other person who's in charge of Shield, Victoria Hand.
Yes, Victoria Hand.
Victoria Hand. We saw Victoria Hand as she kind of looked like she took over the airplane. so so she was there. I mean, the team kind of really didn't bond with her that well, but they knew what they needed to do, and then they followed their gut and listened to what Sky found out about where Coulson was.
Were you surprised at all to see Victoria Hand back?
Not really, because I figured she'd pop back in again.
And I thought what was so interesting is how the team dynamic changed in her presence versus Coulson's.
Yeah, but they still were a team together, which I really liked.
And with that being said, Agent May sort of uh, stepped up as the sort of leader of the team for this. And the first thing she did was kick Sky off the plane.
Yes, she did, but it was a good tactic. I mean, she said that she was not useful there. Sky was more useful, really, away from everyone else, and so she knew that when she let her go, and Sky did what she needed to do.
And I love being able to see the sequence of Sky trying to sort of outmaneuver everything, all of the restrictions they put on her little armband. I just thought the sequence was pretty funny, especially when she dressed up as Agent May.
Oh yeah, that was really funny. That made me smile.
But yeah, they're definitely picking up things from each other.
Yep, they sure are. They sure are.
And did you learn anything about some of the other characters within this episode outside of Coulson?
Outside of Colson, well, we still know the Sky still wants to know about her parents, but she kind of knew what the operation was this time, and so she did what she needed to do. Um, let's see, we see that May is I mean, quote unquote, almost the leader of the group, and so she kind of leads them where they need to go. Um, we saw that Grant Ward, he was shot during the process. We didn't talk about that last time, I don't think. But anyway, he was shot during the whole scene with Coulson being missing, and so we saw him being treated for that.
Yeah, we definitely did, and I would say that this episode doesn't fully take place like immediately afterwards. It definitely seems like there's some time that's elapsed.
Yes, yes, because they didn't really explain that part. He was just being treated.
Yeah, and we still have the beginning of the episode recap as we discussed last time.
Yep, we sure did.
And Mom, even though of course we saw Victoria Hand back, there were some other people that returned in this episode.
Yeah, tell us about them, Brandon.
Yeah, like we have our lovely girl in the flower dress, Raina.
Oh yes, yes, she was there along with her friend, the old prisoner.
Yeah, Doctor Poe, I think.
We'll go with that.
But what were your thoughts about Raina in this episode? Because I definitely think that she's an intriguing character in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought she was stronger in this episode because she's taking orders from someone. We don't know at this point who she's taking orders from, but yet at the same time, she's doing everything she can to get the information from Coulson, but she has a strong, calm control. You just don't know from whom.
Yeah, and even going to that home, I did want to note that I don't know if you caught it, but Raina was telling Colson that she actually put herself through the memory machine.
Yeah, she did say that, but she didn't say what she was remembering, or did she?
I don't think she did.
Okay. Yeah, and then she was arrested at the end. Which means to me that she's going to come back again.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. And as Fitz and Simmons say, there definitely won't be any flower dresses where she's going.
No, there won't be. Oh, she might put an orange suit on with a big flower on it.
What's funny is that Coulson actually asked her about the flower dress.
Yeah, and she made a comment, but I cannot remember what she said.
Yeah, I think it was something along the lines of like, "Who doesn't love a good flower?"
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, it definitely is interesting. And it seems that she is, let's say, answering to someone. Mom, do you remember who she says she was answering to?
The clairvoyant.
Yes.
Yes. So we don't know who that person is.
Do you have any thoughts or predictions? Do you think it's too early to tell?
My guess, and so far in all the shows that we've done, I've been wrong about all these predictions, but I think it's Victoria Hand.
And why would you say that?
Well, she's the only one there who's kind of has a big scene, and so I kind of think it's her. Because she would be the one to want to know why Coulson acts the way he does, and because she is the head, that's probably the one thing she doesn't know is about Coulson, and and then she kind of has her own thoughts about how Shield needs to be ran, and those there don't always follow her direction. They follow Coulson's pretty well, and then she would also be um, to me, because of the Avengers, meaning that the superpowers and things like that, she might be looking at them per se, and knowing that there's another way that people are becoming stronger and things like that, and how she can kind of create that on her own. So that's just me, and we'll see later on if I was right or wrong.
Yeah, we definitely will see indeed. And yeah, she definitely I feel has like a lot of suspicion around her. And I know at the very first time you saw her back on the episode The Hub that yeah, the first time you saw her, you're just like, is she gonna be the big bad guy?
Yes, I did say that. Like I said, I've been wrong so many times, so we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will see. And we saw someone return at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, we saw Mike Peterson return. We saw that his leg had been amputated, and we saw that he had a lot of burn marks. But we also know now that he apparently has the I guess, contact lenses or whatever they're called. Or at least I think that's what I understood from the episode. So people can control him through his eyes.
Is that something you were predicting?
I was not predicting that, and he was terrified when he realized that.
Yeah, and to see that, I will say that for last week, that was the one thing I remember about the episode. The bridge was the whole explosion at the bridge at the end of the episode. In terms of this episode, I don't. I remember the whole sort of deserted area that Coulson was in with all of the sort of fake children and fake people in the town. Which, like, what was your thought about that atmosphere? Even
All right, say it one more time. You remember what?
yeah, when they kidnapped Coulson, yeah, they had to put him in the memory machine. They took him to this sort of fake town that was supposed to be for the
Okay.
World War.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would be enough to confuse Colson. And because it was out in the boondocks, it would be a hard place to find him.
Yeah, and I definitely feel, as a viewer, just seeing that sort of atmosphere, and you can see a little bit with Sky when she found the place, is that it's definitely unsettling.
It is unsettling, and it kind of makes you look, because there were a lot of soldiers out there, and Ward and May had to fight them off. But I mean, you didn't know where they were coming from because you see all these fake people, then all of a sudden there's a real person there.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that the whoever's in charge of, I guess, the makeup and effects and everything, I think they really did a good job with Coulson because you could, to me, seeing Coulson in this way, we've always seen him as a very strong and put together character, but I think in this episode you were able to see how beaten, bruised he was, but yet he was determined to learn about this past, even though he knew it was kind of going into the longer scheme of things.
Yeah, you could tell that.
But yeah, and so like, what do you think's going to happen next at this point? We're halfway through the season. Do you have any thoughts as to what's going to happen in the next episode titled Seeds?
Now, my guess is they're probably going to go back and dig into someone else's life, meaning one of their current people, and I think it'll be kind of a standalone storyline. So we'll have someone from the someone's past we'll be looking into. But I think because we've had these two culminating storylines, well, getting close to culminating anyway, I think that they're going to go back and they need to bring some layers back in. And so they might have another superhero person come in or someone who's has that centipede type, you know, type of strength. And so I think they'll have another episode like that. But I think in general, for the next couple, they're just going to be kind of standalone episodes. And then they'll bring the centipede episode back in together.
And so, since you're predicting that it's going to focus on perhaps an individual, do you have any thoughts as to who this individual or individuals will be?
Um, I think at this time, I think that the first couple they might do would be, I think they need to circle back around to either Fitz or Simmons. My guess would be Simmons. And then I think also with Sky also, because we keep tapping on her past. So I think they need to have another episode with her past per se. That's a little larger than just the tapping part of it. And then, like I said, I think they'll probably hit Simmons next because we've just had Ward and we've had May. Was sort of had May. Maybe May will be the one, but I think it'll be one of the female characters.
Well, that's definitely, like I said, a good prediction there. We're going to have to go ahead and watch and find out. And something I want to do, like within these final 11 episodes of the season, is even almost like highlight some of the, like, I guess the characters that maybe, or portions of the episode that sort of stand out a little bit more within the episodes.
All right, something we could tackle next week, Brandon.
Yep, that sounds good. Mom, is there anything else you want to say before we go ahead and end out this video?
Nope, I'm looking forward to watching the next one. So we appreciate everyone watching.
Yeah, and have a wonderful day.
All right, bye, everybody.